Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video, and we're going to be looking at the new fusion, Razzlevarg. Actually said that right that time. We're going to call him Razzie, Razzalicious, the Razster, but we're going to call him Razzie, I think, is pretty much going to be his name from now on, because I keep messing up his name, and, you know, some suggestions were calling him Bugs or Doc or something like that, and you know what? Not bad options, definitely. Roger for Roger Rabbit would have been a good one. Donnie Darko is a good one as well, and I think that might be kind of like a secondary nickname for him. But I'm going to be calling him either Razzie, or Donnie Darko. I think that's got to be his names going forward. Definitely looks like a Donnie Darko rabbit. And if you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. It's very good. And if you have, then you understand. And then obviously Razzie and Razzie's good as a nickname for him, since it's short for his actual name. But here's the point. This champion looks amazing. He's got a very interesting kit. The question is he good? Is this somebody we actually want to use in our game? Do we want to take the time to fuse them? Because this is not one of those simple fusions, not a fragment fusion. This is one of those full-on fusions where you got to get 16 rare champions, rank them up, level them up, rank them up, level them up again, and ascend them to get 4 epics, which you've got to do all that over with. Level up, rank up, and level up again, and ascend just to fuse Razzlevarg. It's a lot of resources to be able to get this legendary. Is it not worth it? No, I actually think this one is definitely going to be worth it for a majority of players out there. And I'll go a little bit more in depth on what I mean in this video here. But this is because the questions I always get, should I fuse this champion? Is he worth it for me? And as always, I think we have to understand there's 2 caveats when we talk about fusions. One, get the opportunity to get a free legendary and you can do it. You should do it. That's a no-brainer. We all want those legendary champions because they're the biggest, the best, the strongest. When champions get reworked into something actually meta, it's legendaries, not epics, not rares. They can be improved, but never put into that meta category. The other part is, though, should I fuse this on my account? And it's always account dependent, right? I'll give you an example. On my main account, where I have tons of champions, a fair amount of resources, I don't mind spending money on this game. Yes, 100% I'm going to be getting this champion. 100% I'm going to be putting in the effort to get this champion. On my free-to-play, 100% I will not be doing that. The requirements for my free-to-play account is just so much higher. I haven't saved up enough resources. But I will say this. If I did save up the resources, if I did feel like it was a fusion I could do with the resources I had, I would be doing this fusion on my free-to-play. Because I feel like that's the kind of account that this champion is going to help out the most. This guy is very good in Clan Boss. I just showed a Clan Boss video yesterday, him doing 100 million damage. You can definitely go check out that video, right? And I think it's definitely a good one. And I'm probably going to be doing another version of that with a non-unkillable thing. A lot of people want to see how does he work with a lot of, like, you know, ally attack champions like Michinaki or Ronda or something. So I'm going to try that with like Michinaki in there and see how that works. And you'll get a sense of that here because I'm going to try and bring him into a couple of the more PvE areas of this game where I think Razzlevarg is actually going to be the best. I think he's going to be amazing in Hydra, but I also think he's going to be amazing for Doom Tower progression. I think he's going to be amazing for dungeon progression. And I think those are the areas that are going to be the most impactful for people on their accounts. Now, obviously, you know, Plarium built him to do things like hard mode dungeon, right? To do certain parts of content in this game. But even if that's where he's designed to be, it doesn't mean that's where he's going to be best at. And too often, Plarium actually doesn't seem to have a full enough understanding of those areas of the game that they build champions for. And so we end up having to repurpose them for other things. Sometimes they get it right, but oftentimes it's a little bit off. And I think that's going to be a little bit the case with Razzlevarg here. But I mean, he's definitely going to be a really good champion. And it might turn out that I'm wrong, that he is going to end up becoming a semi-meta champion later in the game because he's very easy to build speed up on him because of his passive ability. He's very easy to build for whatever content you want because of that. As you can see, I have mine in a stalwart set. Why? Makes him a lot tougher. He survives a lot easier in that. I still have speed. I actually have some defense on him, some HP on him, and I actually built mine for damage and attack here. So there's more than a few ways to build your champions, but he does bring a lot to the table for you. And I think it's going to be really good for all these different areas of the game. So all of that said, let's look at his kit so we understand exactly why he's going to be good for certain areas of the game and not for others. I don't think I was very clear about this in my last clan boss video. So I want to kind of double down on this and really talk about why these certain skills are going to be good for certain areas. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one that comes out. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, we have that link down below in the pinned comment and description of this video, and you can use code DeadwoodJedi, save yourself 15%. And of course, if you want some account work, you don't like doing the work yourself, I'm more than happy to do it for you. My team is at the beck and call. Just visit my website, DeadwoodJedi.com. Okay, so with Razzlevarg, I think we're actually going to start in reverse order here and look at this passive, because this is really what makes this kit so unique. This is a part of his kit that makes him completely different from every other champion out there. First off, increased speed buff increases their speed by 5 every time he places it, right? Stacks up to 100 speed. So essentially what's happening is he's adding, over the course of the fight, adding 100 speed to his kit. Now, this increased speed buff will survive even if he dies and is revived. It will survive even if he has a revive on death, dies and comes back. It will persist even through different waves. So if he gets the full, whatever bump he gets on wave 1 will be there for wave 2. So you can build it up towards the boss. So basically what this is saying is it is designed the right way to maximize this for us as we progress through content. And what you're going to notice is he's going to get going faster and faster and faster. And when combined with the rest of his kit is really going to shine. He also has this increased speed buff on the A3 and an increased attack buff. Now, something I pointed out in the clan boss video is this is actually an attack. Most champions that put up increased speed, that's not an attack skill. So this means he's always attacking, always doing damage. That's a very positive thing, especially because this is an AoE attack. And let's not forget that increased accuracy buff is incredibly, incredibly powerful when we start having to need things like 500 plus accuracy to land any debuff. So when we can open with this, keep increased accuracy on not only Raz, but also the rest of your team, that's going to just make it so much easier to get the stats you need, get the survivability you need to do the damage that you want to do, or land the debuffs at least that you want to land. And I think that's really, really important. So that really pairs very nicely with his passive ability. And then of course, the A2 here, AoE, it places a leech and will heal him, not only because it's a leech that's getting placed, but also because every time a leech is placed, he heals 10%, right? So there's a big heal ability. It's also a big leech, which means that it's going to help heal the rest of your team, especially if they have AoE attacks. That's actually really nice. So you're building in some survivability in this champion, some survivability for your team. It's an AoE hit again, too. And then the A1 is a triple hitter, which is always really nice. It does mean we could use Giant Slayer if we chose. I actually don't think that we want to. I think actually whatever called War Master is actually a better choice here, just statistically, but either one's going to be fine. More importantly, each hit fills this champion's turn meter by 5%, which means that if he doesn't kill a champion on the first or second hit, generally he's always going to get a 15% turn meter boost off that A1. So let's run through this, right? He's getting, oh wait, before I get to that, we're also adding an aura here, right? 20% speed aura, which is obviously massive. So let's get all this right. We're getting an extra 100 speed over the course of the fight. We're getting an extra 20% speed because of the aura. We're getting increased speed buff on everybody. That is a 3-turn cooldown when booked, right? So that will be rotating all the way through. We're getting a 15% turn meter boost on the A1. This guy goes fast, and he's going to be constantly cycling his skills. Why is this so powerful? When I do takeovers for people, and I do them fairly often, always, 100% of the time, the one thing that teams are always missing is speed in their kits. They don't have champions with speed, they don't have gear with speed, and it is such a problem. I don't know why this is, but for some reason, for a lot of people out there, building speed is like the anathema of what they want to do. With someone like Razzlevarg, you don't actually have to build that much speed to get him going insanely fast. You want 100, 300 speed champion? Well, build Razzlevarg to 200 speed. Oh, wait, I forgot. We got that 20% speed buff. Maybe like 190. And he's going to be going at the same rate as someone at 300 speed. Not to mention the increased speed buff that we have on everybody. Not to mention the 15% turn meter boost that he gives himself. So when we're trying to keep increased speed on all the rest of our champions, having them go fast, when we're trying to keep increased accuracy up so we can land our debuffs, keep leech out on the enemy so we can heal, Razzlevarg is going to be an MVP for this. Now, obviously, I'm saying a lot about this champion, and I did have to test him first before I went in and recorded this video, because I needed to know if he was going to be actually good or if he was just kind of like good on paper, right? Is this a paper mache champion or is he real? And I think he's real. I tested him in Hard Dragon. I tested him in Hard Doom Tower, and I got pretty darn good results, not to mention what I'd already seen from Clan Boss. I think this is a champion that most of you are going to want to fuse. I will talk about that a little bit more in depth because it's not going to be for everybody's account that you need to fuse this champion. I think everybody should, because I think he's super fun, but I don't think everybody needs to. But I'm going to show you exactly how I'm using him, and I think this is probably going to be an optimal way in which to utilize him to really get the most out of a champion like him with his particular kit. But yeah, let me show you really quickly, just so you know, these are his total stats, right? We got 40k HP, we've got 275 speed. That's not fast for my account, right? It's a solid number. It's not crazy fast. I've got him at 240 accuracy. Again, not super crazy, just kind of a solid amount. I'm factoring in the fact, I'm keeping in mind that we're going to give ourselves an increased accuracy buff. I don't have to build him super crazy to be able to land his debuffs. Now, for some stuff, I'll probably need to bump that up a little bit, but still, it's not going to be, I'm never probably going to need to take him much over 300 accuracy for him to get usage, right? I do have him with 100% crit rate, good crit damage, and still a lot of attack, almost 5,000, and about 2,600 defense. So he's a little bit lower on the defensive side if I'm trying to survive, a little bit low on the HP again if I'm trying to survive. So typically as a support champion, I would build those higher. But I did kind of want to see what his damage can do, and I've been pretty impressed with it. Not that I would personally build my Razzlevarg like this, right? I would probably build Donnie a little bit more support oriented, more HP, more speed, more accuracy, more defense, right? Aim for that 50k HP, 3,000 defense mark. That's usually a pretty good baseline as far as, I want somebody that can survive most things. And so that's kind of what I would be aiming for. And obviously the more speed I can put on him, the better. But, with this showcase, you're going to see building with damage is not a bad way to go either. So anyway, that's kind of what I have there. I just have the Clan Boss Masteries on. I haven't changed those. I do have them in Giant Slayer. Again, it's great for the A1. Not so great for the other skills, which is why I kind of actually recommend doing War Master instead, but it's not going to make a huge difference here. These are not the masters I would typically choose for this type of content, but again, it's not going to matter that much. And I do have them in stalwart gear in order to really try to showcase as much as possible. Not showcase, that's what I had them in for Clan Boss. But I think it's good because it's going to help us stay alive with these slightly lower defensive stats, right? So anyway, this is a team that I'm using. I haven't, nothing's plugged in the team setup or anything, but we have Donnie in the lead. I've got Lydia, I've got Mithrala, I've got Arbiter, and I've got Michinaki. Essentially, all these are free-to-play champions. I do want to point that out. Not say they're easy to get, but they are all available within the game, except for Michinaki. But I felt like Michinaki would be actually a really great example of a champion to bring in here because he's obviously just doing single target attacks. He gets a lot of them, but that's all he's doing. So the faster we go, the more turns we take as a team, the better he's going to be. And I think that's going to be a pretty solid showcase for what we can do here with Raz. Now, I could easily take out Lydia on this team. I don't think we actually need her, but I'm hopeful that's actually going to speed up our runs a little bit. But yeah, that's one thing. Actually, you know what? We're going to take Lydia out now that I think about it. I don't want to, not land the increased speed buff for Raz. So let's take Lydia out and we'll take in, who should we bring in? We can bring in Syl. Let's see if Syl has any gear on here. Might be half naked. No, she looks like she's pretty decent. Okay, perfect. So we'll bring in Syl the Drake, and we'll utilize her with this team. Just a little bit of revive, right? A little bit something else I think would be good. Again, still free to play champions. Nothing's changed there. And so we'll kind of go through and see if we can't, how we do on stage 10, hard mode, dragon, and what we can do. Now, I mean, the first thing you're going to notice, right? Obviously, big damage kind of comes in right off the jump. But look at how many attacks we're going to get. We've already taken one, right? Here comes Michinaki's getting there. That's a second one from the rabbit. right? Rabbit, another nickname. And there's the third attack. We've done 3 attacks before the enemy's even taken 1 turn. That's what's so great about this. And as soon as we start placing those increased speed buffs, we're going to be going faster again. Every time he places it, we have 5 champions on the board. We're going to get an extra 25 speed on our champion. So he's going to be going faster and faster and faster. And look at that. We just kind of wiped through it without any real meta damage coming in out of this. I would not recommend Michinaki for dungeon waves, right? But he works extremely well for this type of a team. And I think actually probably pairs better with Razzlevarg, with Raz. Man, I'm never going to do this right. But I think he probably pairs better with her or with him than anybody else out there because of so many attacks. And every one of his attacks, every one of his skills is an attack, which is really nice. And this is one of the great things, right? Not only are we going super fast, and yeah, I have him in stalwart, but we're actually outrunning a lot of the debuffs. We're taking so many turns. Now, I don't think he's going to be a good PvP champion. That's not where he's going to shine. That increased accuracy buff is really nice. Increased speed is really nice, but like, I mean, really, he'll be okay, I guess. I mean, as good as somebody like Claude would be, I would imagine, but he doesn't really scream to me a great speed champion for arena, right? He won't be bad, but you know, if you're cycling his skills, then you're doing something wrong already, right? Like your arena fight is already taken too long. And so I don't really look at him and say, oh, this guy's going to be great for that necessarily. But for this kind of stuff, this PvE content, I think he's actually going to be amazing for. And so we've gotten, I think, 2 or 3 of those increased speed buffs out already, which is pretty great already. And so now it's just about, I mean, look how many turns he's going to be taking. He's already going to be taking at least 2 turns for every one that the dragon takes, which is pretty great. We've got that leech out, gives us the ability now to heal up. You can see he's doing decent damage along the way too, right? He's not a weak hitting champion. Like that was 16,000 for Michinaki, who's my damage dealer in this team. He just did 56,000 with his hit. So like he can definitely do some work. Darko is, or 31,000, whatever. Darko's doing some work for us. He's not a bad champion damage wise. He's not a crazy damage dealer, but I mean, look at that, 12K a pop on a triple hit. That's a pretty nice number, I would say. And again, he's just going to burn through those debuffs because he's going to be taking his turn. So they're not going to stick on him as long as they would on some other champions. I'm really excited actually to take him into Hydra and see what he can't do there, because I feel like, especially pairing him with a champion like Michinaki, it's just going to be game over, right? Just so many attacks, so many turns being taken. And on top of the fact that he brings some actually needed debuffs in the leech, and that increased accuracy is going to be very valuable for your team. So there's definitely a lot, I think, to like about this rabbit. Now, the other place I really wanted to show him to you guys is in Doom Tower Hard. And one of the reasons why I actually wanted to show this was because this is a stage I struggle with on my own account. Like, I struggle hard on this. Now, this time I brought in Brogni instead of Lydia, instead of Syl. You know, you can pick or choose who you'd want to bring in these kind of spots instead. That's totally up to you, right? But we are going to do floor 114. It is on hard. But I'm going to show you this. And yeah, I think it's kind of remarkable. Now, obviously, you know, we do have Arbiter in there, mostly there for revive. And actually, you know what? I bet, hold on. Let's actually take out Arbiter. We don't need her for speed, I don't think, because we have the rabbit. So let's bring in Syl. I'd forgotten about Syl, so this is perfect timing. Let's bring in Syl the Drake instead. We'll let Syl the Drake be our revive, be our healer, and we'll run it like this. And I'm really interested to see, you know, I mean, I struggle with this floor. Like I most of the time have to manual getting through this floor. And maybe that just has to do with my current team, right? But I don't know if you guys are recognizing this, but this is incredibly fast. Look at the kind of damage that he does on those champions. It's pretty remarkable. He's hitting harder than Michinaki. Like, honestly, just straight up slapping instead. And with attacks on every skill with 2 AoE abilities, that's not too shabby. And that's kind of what I'm liking about him so much right now. That's one of the things I'm liking about him. Obviously, I'm liking the speed that he's able to put out there, the amount of attacks that he does take. And I think he's going to be just a really, really good option. But this is why I say this champion is going to be better for progression than it is for endgame. On my personal account, I don't see any place that I need this champion. Chances are he's just going to stay in my vault. Maybe I'll put him in my Doom Tower team, right? But I don't need him anywhere. It's not really essential for anything that I do, but I can already do everything also. Now, one place where I haven't tested him because I haven't even really tried to do it is Fire Knight. Obviously, that's insanely hard right now, and it doesn't really interest me. So I haven't really even bothered doing that on my own account, not to mention trying to use Razzlevarg in that. So that's always a whole separate part of this, right? But what I do think is really, interesting about him is that he's going to be really good when you're trying to progress. I would absolutely love having him on my free-to-play account. I think that is 100% one of the spots that would be, amazing for. Gosh, look at the damage that we're doing. We don't have decreased defense out there. We don't have weaken out there. And we're just completely annihilating these guys. And I know Michinaki's doing a lot of that, right? But I think most of this damage is actually coming from Razzlevarg. I'm actually interested to see at the end of this who does the most damage, whether it's Raz or it's Michinaki, because I think it's going to be a lot closer than we might think. So he went down. This is obviously the weakness, right? Kind of a squishier champion. Trying to keep him alive. I didn't build him to survive, so that is obviously like the downside to it. And that would be something I'd want to fix if I were going to actually build him, for most of my content in any case. There we go. Bring him back. All right, cool. Now, the good thing is, though, even though he died, and, he also lost a lot of max HP, even all that, his speed hasn't decreased. So he's still going at that insanely fast, should be about 375 speed at this point. And so, yeah, that's going to be nice. Now, this is, I think this is one of the more interesting things here is like I said, I struggle against this, but this team is just smoking. Michinaki's obviously very good. All these champions are, but I'm honestly pretty surprised that we're doing as well as we are with this. But yeah, it's pretty much a wrap, right? Like, I guess Razzlevarg going down is a little bit unfortunate here. Not much of a showcase when he's not alive, is it? Hey, Sil, bring him back, will you? Come on, help us out here. This is where I miss Arbiter, because obviously we're taking a lot less attacks now that he's down. Now that we're not getting those speed buffs out there, a lot less attacks, and actually, it looks like we're gonna lose. Okay. Anyway, guys, you get the idea. I did just I literally beat this right before I started recording, so that's a little frustrating on my part. But you can get the idea here. I ran the same team. RNG. Why? But you understand, like, he's going to be taking turn after turn after turn. He's going to be doing crazy damage. And look, he didn't do more than Michinaki, but he did as much as everybody else combined on this team pretty much. So that's a pretty decent number, I would say. Is he essential? I don't think so. But will he be useful? And in that case, I would say, yeah, I think he will be. I think he'll be extremely useful for people. But again, it is, relative, I guess would be the best way to phrase it. He's, I think, going to be very, very useful for folks, but he's not going to be as good for everybody everywhere. It's not a Crizia where it doesn't matter where your account is, he's going to be amazing, right? That's not this kind of a champion, but worth a fusion like this? Yeah, I think so. Because I think for the majority of players out there, this is somebody that's going to help the progression of their account and help it a lot. So that's where I'm standing on Razzlevarg. Obviously, your team composition is going to be different from mine. I know I'm showing all legendaries. What does that mean? I mean, we're doing the hardest stuff in this game, right? At that level, a lot of times, these are the kinds of champions that you bring in. But if you can't figure out how I might be using Syl, maybe you're using somebody a little bit different. Maybe you have a Broadma. That's your reviver. I'm used Underpriest Brogni. Maybe you're going to have to use somebody else in that role, right? You go, I don't know who, Doom Priest, for example, right? I have a Mithrala. Perhaps you have a Jareg, some kind of ally protection, right? There's always going to be some alternative champions and options that you can bring in for these squads. If I don't have Michinaki, maybe I bring in a Poisoner. Maybe I bring in Venomage, for example. There's always going to be alternatives on your account that you can use. And sometimes that's what's limiting you. Most of the time, it's the gear. Most of the time, it's the speed on your gear. And the great thing about Razzlevarg is you don't have to worry about the speed. He's going to make the speed up for himself. And that's really nice. And I do know his damage is based off of speed as well as attack. But if we take a look at him, and I think this is always important to kind of reiterate to people. For some reason, folks forget this a lot. You look at a skill, and you see damage based on attack and speed. That first one means more generally, right? Unless it says max HP. If it says max HP, that's all you really have to worry about. But if it doesn't, if it says attack and speed, well, speed's fairly constant. Can't really build speed to get more damage. That's a little trickier, right? But you can build the attack up. I would focus on the attack if you're wanting damage. Focus on the attack, not the speed part of it, though both will have a factor. Now, I haven't seen the multipliers. I don't know exactly what the percentage is based on either one of them. There's probably a mathematical formula that can tell you what the preferred numbers are. I don't know those. But what I do know is that, you know, if you build him with attack and damage, crit rate, he can do some work. Not a damage dealing champion, though. That would not be my focus. More like a pleasant side hustle dish kind of thing. Anyway, that's my little thing on Razelvarg, on Donnie Darko, on Razzle Dazzle, the Raz. I don't know. We can call him whatever we want, guys. But I think that gives you a good overview of this champion, of his kit, what he can do, where he's going to be useful. Now, if you disagree with me on any of this, let me know. I like hearing that. Just be polite, you know, don't be rude. But other than that, I always love to get feedback from you guys. It's not, these are just my opinions, right? I've had a limited time to test him. In that limited time, you know, with my experience, this is kind of my thoughts on it. But, you know, the game is the great thing about this game is almost every champion can be used in a multitude of ways. And I think Raz is definitely one of those champions that can be used in a lot of different ways. So I would definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts on him. Where you think he would be best, what kind of build you would put on him, what kind of team you would put around him. I think all those things are important questions when factoring this in. So let me know that down in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I know this is a little bit longer video, but I really wanted to give him a pretty full in-depth coverage here so we have an understanding of exactly how he's going to be, whether it's worth your time and effort to fuse him or not. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one of these fun videos. And yeah, till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.